It's 1230 WBLQ.
Good morning. Welcome back to the morning show. It is 36 degrees. To be exact, it's 35.6 degrees, rounded up to 36 degrees. It is 8:13 in the morning, and Rona Mann is with us. And what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about one of the best shows I have ever seen in the 32 years I've lived here.
All right.
And that is at the Gamm Theater, the new Gamm.
Yep.
They have moved after 15 years in Pawtucket. They've moved down to Warwick. They took over the space that the Ocean State Theater had on Jefferson Boulevard.
Much beleaguered Ocean State Theater.
Yes, and it's a shame. But the Gamm really knows what they're doing. They came in, they did a whole lot of remodeling. They've made it very small, very intimate, extremely intimate. The show they're doing right now, their opening show, The Night of the Iguana, Tennessee Williams. So you have so many good things working for you there. You've got one of the best playwrights America ever had.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, really?
It's directed by Fred Sullivan Jr. from Trinity Rep. The man is unbelievable. He sometimes tends to go too big, but in this case, it just worked. And then you've got, as your lead, Tony Estrella, who is the artistic director for the Gamm. And every single role that was cast, these people are magnificent, down to the tiniest little part. It works so well.
So I want to come back to the show, but I want
Sure.
to talk about the space.
Okay.
Because I was in the space before it was renovated, and I liked that space.
I did too.
So you say they've made it smaller?
It's not, the actual theater part is not as cavernous as it was.
Well, it was cavernous. That's really true.
They made it, I guess it is a trademark of the Gamm to bring the audience right up to the action. That's what they talk about, which you and I didn't know before, but I learned. They're black square. They have the stage is a square, and because they made it so much smaller, we were in the front row, and the front row was inches from the action, and I do mean inches. You had to kind of keep your feet in as they ran by so you didn't trip anybody. But there isn't a bad seat.
Wouldn't it have been fun if you did?
No, it wouldn't. Although they are professional enough, I'm sure they would have covered. Most of these actors are Actors Equity members.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got real pros in there. They do this show so very well, but there isn't a bad seat, and there's no way you could yawn or fall asleep or be doing anything else other than being riveted because you're on stage with them. That's the feeling you have.
How many seats?
Ooh, I don't know.
Do you think it's less seats than they had, or?
I think, well, I'm not so sure. Yeah, they may have taken some out of the front just to bring the stage up. I really don't know. I would guess maybe about 175 max.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there certainly is no bad seat there. And it's almost intimidating at first when you walk in and say, my God, I'm on stage with them. That's what they want. They want to draw you in.
Yeah.
You are so drawn into that story, and what a story it is.
So talk about the play a little bit more, and then I want to talk about the Gamm and what we know of their philosophy moving forward.
Okay.
Because it seems to me when they do things like Night of the Iguana, they're doing things that you might typically find on the stage at Trinity. And
right.
So whether or not I've always wondered whether or not there can be that competition, or whether or not that competition is really good for theater in Rhode Island.
Oh,
Come back to that.
I think it's good. I don't think it's competition. I think if you love theater, there's certainly room for both.
Yeah, I love plays with meaning.
So do I.
You know, a lot of musicals I don't like because they might as well just be at some kind of a musical venue, but I need a storyline to it. It needs to be.
Oh, you got a storyline here.
Yeah,
you absolutely do. Well, Tennessee Williams did not write fluff. I mean, he wrote Streetcar Named Desire and a whole bunch of other classics. And the one thing about Tennessee Williams' writing, he always writes about people who are in conflict, who are just having problems, who are never really going to be satisfied. And that's what you have here. The Night of the Iguana takes place in one night. It takes place at a very seedy Mexican hotel on the Mexico-Texas border. The lead character is a defrocked priest, Episcopal priest. He is now a tour guide and not a very good one. He runs seedy tours and manages to get into big trouble with some of the ladies in the tours. Everyone there has a story, and the way I put it, they don't put it this way, but I do. They're all trying to run away, but no matter where they run, they find themselves there. The characters, the main characters. The acting is so superb. I have not seen Tony Estrella in too many things, but I think he has absolutely found his role. He is marvelous as the defrocked minister who is slowly going mad. You actually watch his descent into hell, and he does it so very well. There would be, I think, a tendency here to overdo it, overact. Not this guy. He takes it right to the edge, and then there's that subtlety. And there is humor. It isn't all, strum and drum and heavy. They have a couple of German tourists who add the comic relief.
I'm going to hold you there for a minute. We've got to go to our break. When we come back, we're going to continue on with the review. Also talk a little bit more about the Gamm.
Okay.
Rona Mann is with us. We're talking about the Gamm Theater. We're talking about a glowing review that she's given for The Night of the Iguana, a Tennessee Williams play. If you're not familiar with Tennessee Williams, shame on you.
Absolutely.
One of the great playwrights of our time, Streetcar Named Desire. That's all you have to know. That's
right. We have a lot of good theater around here, but for those of you who say, oh, I never go up there, go up there. It's not that long a ride from here to where the theater is. It's probably just a little over half an hour, and it's very easy. It's right off the highway.
Good parking, great parking.
Free parking, lots of it. Free parking, good restaurant at the end of the street. Restaurants all around, actually. But if you love theater, you have to see a show like this to really see what theater is all about. Playwriting, directing, acting.
Yeah.
The acting is just so good. So good. It's one of those rare plays where you've got a couple of roles. They have a couple of Mexican guys who, quote unquote, speak no English. They're just there working at the hotel, and the padrona of the hotel yells to them in Spanish, do this, do that. These guys have almost no lines. They do so much with their body and their face. They're just as good as anybody else. It really is quite the show. You can't say there's a weak link.
And I know you said all of the acting was great. Those that impressed you the most?
Those that impressed me the most. Believe it or not, the one who impressed me even more than the lead is a woman by the name of Deb Martin. She plays the manager of the hotel. She's on stage nearly the whole time. She is sultry. She is outspoken. Even when it's not her scene and it's not her lines, I kept being drawn to her face because she reacted to everything. She is such a consummate actress. I've never seen her before. Tony Estrella, who's the artistic director of the Gamm, he's got the role as the defrocked priest. He does it so well. As I said before, you watch him start to go mad, and then he pops back. And then he goes again, and he pops back. He talks about the spooks that visit him every night that he can't get rid of. And really, they all have spooks. He's got the woman who's opposite him is Janine Kane. She's been with the Gamm for years and years and years. They work very well together. Her part is completely a different character than his, and it works so well. She is a spinster. She's very conservative. She's very tight. She's very cool and calm. And boy, that yin and yang works so well together. And they've worked together for years. They know each other's rhythm. Excellent actors.
Tell me what you think this move will mean for the Gamm, moving from Pawtucket, the bucket, to Warwick, or Warwick as we really pronounce it if we use all the letters.
Number one, public image. I think there are probably people who never heard of the Gamm or heard of them and didn't know where they were, or heard of them, didn't want to go all the way to Pawtucket. I think there's a visibility here.
Yeah. Image of Pawtucket, I guess, is people think of Pawtucket as an old, cluttered city.
Yeah. Foundries. And
how am I going to find this place?
Exactly. But you can certainly find the Gamm now. There is so much public image here. I think reviews like this and like all the others that are out there, when people see this show and you start getting that word of mouth and getting people there and they say, wow, look where it is, not that expensive. We've got theater as good as New York. And this show runs right to November 4th. I would not be surprised if it's not held over, although their next show opens November 8th. So other than adding performances, I don't know how they could do that.
So would you call them edgy in some of the stuff they put on?
Yes, I think they are. They take chances that a lot of places don't. Not to knock Theater by the Sea. I love them desperately, and they fill exactly what they should fill. It's summertime. Right. It's light. You have tourists. Yeah, give them something frothy. Stuff. Give them musicals. Yeah. They don't take any chances at Theater by the Sea.
And you're getting at PPAC, you're getting the big musicals come in.
Right.
They're either the touring shows or what they call truck and bus shows that are I think are made to fool people because these are non-equity that come in and they can make money off of their season ticket holders.
Which they do beautifully.
You know?
And PPAC, and again, not to knock them, but that is old-time theater where you have a stage far away from where you're sitting, whereas the Gamm puts you right in it.
3,200. You talked about the intimacy of the Gamm versus 3,200 seats at PPAC.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to have any intimacy with 3,200 seats.
An extravaganza at PPAC, and maybe a really intimate theater experience at Gamm, not unlike Trinity.
You asked me earlier about Trinity. Do I feel this is competition? I don't think so. Trinity does what they do. These guys do what they do. There may be a little crossover there, but I don't think it's competition. I think it's healthy. I think it gets the theater scene out there in Rhode Island.
I think oftentimes when you have multiple businesses, if you will, that are similar, they draw people to a particular area. So the fact that we have choices in theater, and maybe we don't have this play's going on until early November. Trinity has a play, a couple of plays because they have the two theaters, but there are it's about choices people can make in going to theater, and that's good. That's good because they have that. There should be that excitement about it. And that level of choices, and throwing PPAC with musicals, so it's the theater in Pawtucket, Mixed Magic Theater, is another one that's pretty edgy.
That's Ricardo Pitts-Wiley.
So lots of stuff.